Let's hear a very interesting beginning here to this little conversation.
I don't want to be perceived as a racist here.
Oh, he starts off by saying he doesn't want to be perceived as a racist. What do we know that this is called? When you are trained in the hieratic writings of a Go Free and all that we have here in our hieratic writings, what do we know this is called when somebody starts off with something like that? This is called a disclaimer. We refer to it as a disclaimer. What they're trying to say is, I'm not heretical to the social morality of the West, which proves what? That there is a social morality, that we are right, that what we talk about is accurate, that we can understand everything clearly. And that's why we are able to formulate a practice, a dialogic that recaptures our destiny. It enables us to retrodict with perfect clarity without having to change the formula. Oh, well, in this case, we have to change this and we have to change. But in this case, we have to change. No, we don't have to change any cases. The formula works. It's like physics. Physics is our mathematics that we use to understand the universe, right? The physical universe. Go Free is the formula we use, the science that we use to understand our social universe. We don't have to keep changing the mathematical formula. Physics is not the actual phenomena. It's the math we use to understand the phenomena. Same holds true here. Retrodict with accuracy, understand our world today, and predict perfectly every single time. It's inimitable. And by that, I mean it is royal. Ladies and gentlemen, it cannot be imitated. It is perfect all the way through. So we know then that this gentleman here, this white guy in the sub video here, is white guilted. We know that he lives where? Inside the anti-white narrative. We know that he understands what? That everyone is programmed with the same social anti-white immoral imperative. He knows that, and that's why he starts off with a disclaimer. I don't want to be this. I'm not trying to be this villain in this social morality. I'm not being immoral, which is what he is saying with that disclaimer. So what's going to follow? What do we know about this guy? We already know that he is deeply white guilted. We already know that as a normal, healthy white person, he objects to some of the things that are happening. And he wants to make this little tentative objection, like, please, I'm not the most immoral guy in the house or the most immoral guy at work, but I do have this little objection to the way that we are treated. Is that ever going to work? It's never going to work. Our people have been doing that for generations. I kind of disagree. What are some other things that we can know? And this is just the very first sentence of this video, and we can already discern so much. We can already see so much of what we can already interpret so much of what's happening because we understand the social milieu, correct? So this is not going to work. Him saying, look, I'm measuring my morality by way of the social morality. I'm capitulating to that. You can't win if you capitulate to their morality. So what's been the problem all along? The social morality, which is why we supplant it with a white positive morality. We can know then, for example, although I don't think he does it in this video, we can know, for example, that to make his point, he would be inclined to use a non-white person who agrees with him. Isn't that what we end up seeing in all these cuck circles? The one black guy in the audience is the keynote speaker on the stage. We can see these things because we know exactly the mechanisms that are operating these outcomes. So let's see what he's going to say here. Doesn't want to seem like a racist, doesn't want to seem immoral, but
how many people do the Muslims have to kill before we wake them and go, we had enough?
what's the answer to that question? He said, if you didn't hear him, let me know if the audio is working fine. It should be. The great Four Null is in the house. Good to see you, brother. What's the answer to his question? Is the audio working fine? Can you hear him all right? What's the answer to that question? How many people do the Muslims have to kill before we wake up? All of us. There is no number. There is no number because we don't have a people. You could say the same thing. How many people, how many of us have to be killed by anti-whites in Paris, in Berlin, in all of South Africa, in Rhodesia? How many of us before we wake up? Infinite, all of us. We never wake up because we are isolated, selfish individualists without a people. That's one of the things, by the way, I was able to catch a little bit of the shade tree. You should catch a lot of the shade tree every single day at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on X. You should be retweeting it. You should be sharing it, just like you're doing this right here today, because you're epic activist for Western kind. And I heard some folks come in there and they were saying, oh, we need to do a little bit of that. We need to blame this group of people over here. We need to blame that group over there. And then I knew, as the person was talking, both people, what the unspoken premise was that they were operating on, which is an erroneous premise. The premise is that we have a people, and that you can give this people warnings about a threat to the people. There is no people yet. That's what we're creating. There is no peoplehood in the white race. That's what we are, a single people. And this is another reason why ethno-nationalism or nationalist thinking at all is detrimental to us, because we need to come together as a single people with many countries. That's the only way out of this. It is everything else, ethno-nationalism, been changed. Look how many white people they killed with ethno-nationalism. How many more of our best of our genetic stock need to be obliterated on the battlefield for you to understand that's not the path. That's not going to take us to the top of the mountain where we raise on our shoulders the sun in the western sky. How many more? So there is no number. You cannot go to a deracinated, isolated, selfishly individualistic race of people and say, hey, I have a concern for our people. Because they're going to say, our people? I'm sorry, I'm moving from where it's bad today. I just won't send my children to that school. I'll just pay for private school. I'll just go to a different college. I'll just go work for a different company. Hey, I'll go work for these radical anti-whites. Look at my absolutely gorgeous resume. I'll just send that on my curriculum vitae. I'll just send the CV over there. It's 100 pages long. And then they'll let me work for them. I'll make big money and I will shit on the rest of the white race. And that will protect me and my family. So this unspoken premise is illogical. It's erroneous. It's a fallacy. So how many more? All of us is the answer.
Does that make us racist when we respond to the way they're treating us because we're just white?
Measuring us by the anti-white immoral metric of society. Does that make us immoral? It does. As a matter of fact, you can't object to that within their story.
Or American?
You're not wrong to feel this way. Not at all. People are sick of it. People are sick of Americans being murdered. Okay, we're tired of being attacked. We're tired of our beliefs and things that...
We've been tired of that for into the 1800s. We have been tired of that for many generations. We have been tired of that with colossal organizations, with millions of members in those organizations. In the United States alone, organizations that had the most respected, the most famous, the most beloved members of our nation, of our race, of our country involved in those organizations. We've been sick of it. Did that stop any of this?
That we hold strong to us in Western society being attacked. I 100% believe that our leaders need to step up more when it comes to holding people accountable. No one should be shamed or silenced for speaking up against the government.
What is he doing here? He's saying, here is the moral metric, and this guy that I just had on the video screen, he's right. He's not wrong to feel that way. And we should have a little cutout. Who's he making his appeal? He's making his appeal to anti-whites. You should allow us. You should permit us within your narrative, according to your moral metric that I agree with. There should be this little cutout where we are permitted to object to our mass rape. How many white girls need to get gang raped before you realize this? It's not entirely wrong. No, their entire moral metric. The whole thing burned to the ground. The whole thing burned to the ground. The whole thing. I'm never going to go to a room of white people and say, well, we all agree in so many words with the moral metric, the social morality of the West. We all agree with it. But don't you think that we should be allowed to complain about when we're killed for being white? No, all that. Let's tell our brothers and sisters where they can stick that anti-white moral matrix, all right?
Okay, it's time. They need to prioritize the safety of its own citizens. The sad part is, imagine if it were the other way around. What if a Muslim was just
of their own? You need to prioritize the safety of your own citizens. Well, he just detonated his own argument, because Muslims in America, Muslims in the UK, Muslims in France, they're citizens too. Who are you talking to now? Your brothers and sisters are going to wilt to that argument. Well, they're citizens, so they should be protected as we got to protect them all. We got to protect the good Muslims from the bad Muslims. And then we can have a whole debate about which ones are good and which ones are bad. And when is it a religion of peace? And when is it a religion of conquest? How is that helping us? Zero. It's never helping us. Finally, your king has spoken.
shot dead in the street? Okay, the left would lose their mind. I think the only way that people are truly going to wake up is when they start dragging you out of your house.
Will they wake up when they drag you out of their house? Will they wake up? What does wake up mean in this guy's mind? What does it mean to wake up? What he is envisioning in his own sort of club-footed way is that we'll come together and object to what's happening. We will become a people and object to what's happening. They don't wake up when they drag you out of your house. What is he also admitting to here? That it is going to require, because of what he can perceive without being able to articulate it, the selfish individualism, that every single white person is going to have to be dragged out of their house. Folks, that's not going to happen. They don't need that to happen. That's not going to happen. They drag white people out of their houses all the time. Look at what's happened all across the West. There are countless stories of it. The police are dragging you out of your houses because you're at variance with anti-whiteism. You're being dragged out of your house. How many times in America have white people been shot dead at their houses, in their houses? I mean, how many of these stories do we have to see? But the anti-whites are coming in and they're dragging you out. The anti-whites are making it possible to live where you live, so you have to white flight someplace else. What he's acknowledging is that the white race is not right. It's full of selfish individualists that literally need to be personally attacked before they say, I will fight back. But a bunch of selfish individualists fighting back is not a people, and it's no resistance to the organized might of other percentages of groups of people. It never will be. It never has been. End of that conversation. So in the final analysis, we're being dragged out of our house. You can literally look in Rhodesia, South Africa, and so many other places right now for ritualistic rape. My opinion, of course, you'll have to check it out for yourself. For ritualistic rape, for murder, etc., butchery, torture, etc., and nothing is happening. Nothing ever will happen because we don't have a people, because we're not targeting the social morality with our argumentation.
Dragging you out of your churches, marrying your children, okay, and beating your women is when people are going to finally wake up and
no, sorry, Mr. Clubfoot. That's not going to happen. No, people will wake up come together, and by people, I mean white people and good non-white people who will stand with us against the anti-whiteism. I mentioned this the other day in one of our groups. Zionism, Islam, where it intersects with white people, in my opinion, of course, ears against the door, is anti-white. It produces anti-white outcomes. But if those ideas, ideology, religion were on the moon where there are no white people, it wouldn't be anti-white. So the problem with these things are that they are anti-white. That's the problem. There's a more important reason for looking at it that way, and that is, of course, creating a people out of our deracinated race. That's the most important reason. That our problem with Islam and the way it's behaving in places in the West, maybe not all of it, of course, the ears against the door, but some of it is that it produces anti-white outcomes. We need to come together and say, we're not going to accept anti-white outcomes. We are not going to accept our towns being turned over to Sharia law. Because why? It's anti-white, not because it's Muslim. For the love of God.
And see what Islam is really capable of. Until then, I don't think anyone's going to do anything about it. I don't think until it truly is on your front doorstep, that's when everything's are going to change.
Wrong.
The sad part is I don't want it to come to that, but I think a lot of us are just protecting our own.
He's right there. He's right. And that's what we have to fix.
Worrying about our families and our neighbors and our neighborhoods.
No, not even neighbors and neighborhoods, just ourselves. That's why people get up and leave in the blink of an eye. They don't even think twice about leaving their neighbors behind. That's what happens to us so often. We're left behind for the anti-white animals, the ones who can't escape with their white flighting, with their money, with their better job, or whatever it is. We're left behind. And then those people that fled, well, since they're still selfish individualists, they'll have to flee again. Their children will have to flee again. Their grandchildren will have to flee again. And it won't matter how many get pulled out of their houses. They'll just keep fleeing until they're the last white family on earth. Then you'll be able to stand together alone. Makes sense to me.